Class and status in Korean history. Historical continuity and change in modern Korean society.
So, given these changes that occurred from the colonial period, we are now going to look at what has happened in Korean society in terms of social status and change after liberation, post-1945.
What happens or happened when social mobility is limited?
As most of you know, South Korea has turned into one of the largest economies in the world. And this is due to post-war economic development, particularly from the presidency of Park Chung-hee. So Park Chung-hee, who came to power through a military coup d'etat in 1961, he decided to push for wealth and economic development in South Korea. His vision of economic development meant a focus on industrialization. So it started off with export-led industrialization and then moving to heavy industrialization and focusing on the defense industry. So this then led to a cooperation between the government and various conglomerates in Korea and the development and blossoming of the chaebol. So the Samsung and Hyundai and LG and SK conglomerates that we all know today. And post-war economic development has been quite spectacular within a very short period of time. Now, how was it that Korea was able to do this? So since South Korea, during Park Chung-hee's presidency, was worried about the defense of South Korea vis-a-vis North Korea. And with the pullout of the US military and the shift of the military from South Korea to Vietnam in the 1970s, Park Chung-hee decided to focus on the defense industry. But you need all of the different parts and components that go into making weapons. So this is what the South Korean economy focused on at the beginning, and harnessing the capital and resources of the different conglomerates, they began to build up these major industrial complexes. So we saw down in Ulsan the development of POSCO, and we saw shipbuilding, and we saw iron ore, and all of these different elements that went into heavy manufacturing and were a key component for economic development during the 1970s and into the 1980s. So these chaebol, or these conglomerates, there was this very close cooperation between the state and businesses, because the state at the time didn't have the capital or the resources in order to fulfill their economic plans, and so they turned to the conglomerates in order to help them do this. Now, this then was really a key factor for the quick development of the South Korean economy. But because of these close linkages and ties between the two, in recent years, it has been difficult to uncouple the state and big corporations in South Korea. What this has also done, it has influenced the way social status is defined in South Korea. So different from the colonial and from the Joseon dynasty, during the post-war period and into contemporary Korea, status is now defined by a variety of factors, some being more important than others. So for example, birth is still extremely important, and the family that you come from. So we all know what our last name is, and Koreans will have a genealogy, sometimes dating back thousands of years. And because there are hundreds of Kims out there, and not all Kims are created equal, depending on what your family name is, can also determine your status. You can increase or decrease your status also through marriage. Certain hometowns and regions also carry more prestige than others. Education is a key to increasing or maintaining social status. And then recently, your profession and financial wealth has also become important. So if we look at status in contemporary Korean society, what is very interesting about the highest status in Korea is that we still see influences from the Joseon dynasty, and we still see how the upper class remains and protects their status through certain practices such as intermarriage. So many of the chaebol, or these large conglomerates, will intermarry with each other. Another lingering influence from the Joseon dynasty is that we see that these large conglomerates are largely family businesses. So they stay within the family. So if you look at the structure of these major conglomerates, so for example, Hyundai, you see that power is spread and the positions are given out to other members of the family, and it goes down by generation to generation. And as a result of this, there are certain families, such as the Samsung family and the Hyundai family, who have been able to really monopolize wealth and have been able to maintain it to themselves and keep it within their families. Another key factor to one's social status is your education. There are the so-called sky schools. This is Seoul National University, Korea University, and Yonsei University. They are the elite schools in Korea, and if you look at the makeup of Korea's social elite, most of them have attended the sky schools or have attended schools overseas, usually in the United States. If we look at marriage patterns amongst the elite in Korea, for example, 1/3 of the children of the 10 biggest conglomerates marry among themselves. 46 chaebol family members, or about 15%, have tied the knot with the offspring of government officials. So again, we see that continued tie between big business and government. And 14, or about 5%, with the children of politicians. So this is an outline of the different conglomerates such as LG and Lotte and Hyundai and Samsung. And so we see quite a bit of intermarriage amongst the chaebol, or the conglomerate family members. This is yet another example of intermarriage between the different family members. So here depicted we have Hyundai, GS, LS, Korong, CJ, Sema, and Hanguk Tire. And so these are all very big companies that, again, intermarry amongst themselves. Now, what would be the purpose of trying to maintain elite status among so few families? Well, again, just as the Yangban during the Joseon Dynasty were exempt from military service, in South Korea today there's a required military service, but there are several conglomerate sons who have been able to exempt themselves from military service or receive a less stringent type of service as a result of their social status. We also see that there is quite a bit of nepotism as a result. So politicians and conglomerates are not only collaborating with each other, but then choose to pass down their positions and their titles to other members of the family. And an outcome of this is that there has been quite a bit of social discontent within Korea, and some even describe Korea as Hell Joseon. This is a phenomenon where we have a large number of university graduates who are not receiving employment that they feel is commensurate with their education, and they feel that this is a part of the fact that they do not have the kind of social network or social status that those of the elite class have.
These are the keywords for this class. Korean War, nepotism, chaebol,